That'll be 2 for... Ooh.
Oh, hey Spencer, what's that you're reading there?
Oh, this is just the most disappointing thing that J.K. Rowling has ever released.
Oh, Spencer. No, haven't you heard? There's a new, even more disappointing thing that she's done.
You want me to hunt him down? To kill him? Dumbledore, why can't you go?
I cannot move against Grindelwald. It has to be you.
Oh, come on.
So we just saw Fantastic Beasts 2, Harry Potter's Wizarding World 10,
With Fantastic Beasts,
The Crimes of J.K. Rowling.
Yes, the crime, and the subtitle under that should also be the movie where nothing happens.
You may be familiar with the phrase train wreck. This movie is a perfect example of a train wreck.
Yes.
Not because it's bad, but because every scene in the movie, I felt myself thinking, oh, they're doing that? And then the next scene, oh my God, they're doing that? And then the next scene, oh my God, they're doing that!
Okay, so usually with a movie there is an end point, there's something that they're trying to get to, there's a goal that, you as an audience member you're trying to get to, but you never felt like that you ever really got anywhere. Because, yeah, it was just like that, like, oh, we're doing this now, we're doing this now. It was kind of like a roller coaster, but it had no end,
Yeah.
But it wasn't a fun roller coaster. It was the roller coaster that was made out of wood back in the 1920s that Grandpa liked to go on and no one likes anymore.
Yeah, befuddling, it was baffling, it was slow, it was dark and dreary and depressing. And it was...
So just like from critic aside, the fan in me is just extremely disappointed. They just really destroyed this one because there was an article that I was looking up before this and it said that this is franchise killer. And I was surprised because you actually said the exact same thing. I was like, if there's two different people saying the exact same things, they are doing something wrong. And they definitely did.
Yeah, I would correct that slightly. I don't think it's a franchise killer because that would imply the franchise will not continue. They'll make more movies. They've invested so much in this that they're not going to give up.
No.
But this is definitely a franchise damager. Personally, I've always been a little skeptical of Rowling herself. Even in the original books, they were fun, mostly, but the writing isn't very good. But it didn't really matter because it was a fun, magical sort of experience. And even though they started to get darker and more political and all these things, the books earned your liking of the characters early enough that you stuck with them through the parts that weren't as well written, in my opinion.
I think that's the main part of why this film failed so much was because in the original Harry Potter films, you actually had characters that you actually enjoyed being around with, you actually enjoyed who you were with.
Here we have nothing.
Yeah, we don't have anything in this new one because there's a plethora of characters. Like, it felt like that there was 80% of characters that didn't really have any meaning to the story at all.
No.
They didn't have any impact to the story. They had no reason for being there. And even the people that were there that had interesting characteristics, they just... they didn't do anything with them.
There were really two characters in this plot that had any connection to the actual progression of plot at all, which were Grindelwald and Credence, who they brought back for some unimaginable reason.
I think it was mainly because of the fact that they didn't know how to progress a Fantastic Beasts series. So it's just some guy who's just like in this, like it's the British, like, what do we have from the last film?
I was blown away to see that character again. Because he was part of the most dark, depressing things about the first movie, which I was hoping that this movie would move on past.
Yeah.
But it doubled down on them. Not only did it bring him back with a Deus Ex Machina kind of hand-waving, oh, you thought he died in the last movie? He didn't die. And that's it.
And they did that a lot throughout this entire film. They kept on saying, like, hey, remember that thing that happened? Oh, no,
it didn't. It didn't happen. No. Way to steal the emotional impact of the first movie, if there was any. We had to wipe the main character's memories because he's a muggle and he can't be part of the Wizarding World. Oh, it's kind of sad. Oh, nah, that didn't actually happen. So, like...
that was the biggest middle finger. Character
There were
name was
multiple.
Jacob.
There was an endless series of middle fingers.
Yeah.
Like in that one scene, they bring him back and say, "Oh, I didn't actually lose my memories. It's fine." And you're like, "What?" And then right after that, they have this extremely forced breakup between him and Queenie.
Yeah, because she essentially drugged him to love her.
Why? He's already crazy about her. What?
Okay, no, but it didn't even make any sense because Jacob says, okay, it never worked on me. And then you find out that there was a love potion. So then does that mean that it actually did work on him? But then she used a love potion on him? But then when the love potion is done, then he still remembers Newt? It didn't make sense.
I think their intention there was that this love potion was a completely extra thing. It was not connected to him not losing his memories. When he says, "Oh, the spell just makes you lose bad memories, but I just had good ones." Like,
oh yeah, that's right. Oh,
really? That's the justification?
That was so forced. It was very forced. And then after that scene, they have that forced breakup thing, and it was kind of like this is where I kind of go into J.K. Rowling is a good writer, but not a good screenwriter, because there's a lot of extra fluff in this film where you're just like, oh, why is this in here?
Yeah, I think this is a very important point to discuss because I'm not going to call her a bad writer.
Yeah.
I'm going to call her a bad screenwriter.
Yeah.
A lot of the elements in both of these movies are the sort of discussions and character moments that you can get away with in a book because a book is much longer.
It's dense. You can spend more time with people that you wouldn't really do with other films.
You're not expecting every reader to read through your book in like 2 hours or whatever. People read a book at their own pace, and you can have a lot of extra things that build more character backstory and don't really necessarily move the plot forward, but it's kind of fun little things like that. You can't do that like that in a movie.
No.
Not to derail on the first one, but the first one spent, I'm going to say, 5 minutes discussing Lestrange, Newt's crush.
Yeah.
She's not in that movie. She plays no
she
role
never,
in that movie.
Until it's this one, right? That's the same character, right? Okay,
yeah. So she comes up in this one, and so the first one builds up as like this mysterious lost love, and then she's in the first scene with Newt, and it's like, oh hey, how's it going? What?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like mysterious, like weird, love that he's holding on to, and then she's like marrying his brother for no apparent reason.
What they really should have done with this film is that the entire film really is, yes, it's between Credence, Dumbledore, and Grindelwald. And I really feel like that they should have just made this like a completely separate film, because Newt Scamander and Jacob and Queenie,
his friends, they don't play into the plot at all.
No, and even with Queenie, the film is trying to figure out what to do with her half the time.
Yeah.
She's just kind of there, and then like when she awkwardly breaks up with Jacob, and then she runs away to Paris to go try to find her sister, and then she sees Jacob again, and for some reason she wants to get back with Jacob, but I thought that she wanted to leave, and then you have this awkward scene where she's just like crying in the rain, and they're trying to make you feel something, but there's no emotion tied to it, and you don't really care because Jacob is annoying. Jacob, speaking of Star Wars prequels, I kept on getting Jar Jar Binks vibes from him. He was just so annoying. He just wouldn't shut up, and he's the character to be like, oh, what's that? But there was really no point for him to be there, and he kept on doing like a stupid laugh.
He served a purpose in the first movie because he was the character who wasn't a wizard, who's there to go, oh wow, magic is cool. Kind of what Harry did in the first movie, right?
Yeah.
So I get you have a character that served that function in the first movie. I think in this movie you could have left behind pretty much all the American characters. Like maybe
yes, you didn't need any of them.
You didn't.
No.
And then you could have actually come up with something good for Newt to do. Involve his magical creatures with like figuring out how to track Grindelwald or something. Like come up with something connecting him to the conflict, and they didn't.
And that's the main issue, is that with all of these separate plots, like you have so many characters, like Nagini and Credence.
Oh, I forgot about them. Nagini and Credence. Yeah, they're like circus performers at the beginning of this.
Yeah, which I found bizarre, because why would you have a freak show in a wizarding world?
Yeah, it's like, well, this is pretty plain. Like we see this stuff everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was weird. Okay, so Nagini and Credence, Newt, Jacob, Queenie, what was it, Tina?
And then you got Lestrange.
And then you got Lestrange.
You got Newt's brother.
You've
got the bad guy, so you got Grindelwald and his sidekicks. A couple other ministry people, like the bad guy.
Yeah.
ministry guy who's like actually
Oh yeah.
Queen's dad. Maybe?
Yeah, or say, like you have all these different plot threads, but the issue with this film is that it didn't intersect or intertwine any really of the plot elements together. Like no one was working towards that same goal.
Yeah.
Really.
I would also draw a comparison to Infinity War. That was a movie that did a lot of characters, and everyone going in that's like, this might be a mess because there are all these characters. How are they going to tie them together? And even though sometimes you're waiting a while to get back to certain plots, they all connect. They all have a purpose.
Yeah.
There's nothing extraneous. I've watched that movie a couple times just thinking to myself, okay, what would I cut? How would I shorten this movie? And there's not much to shorten. Like I maybe cut out some of the vision stuff because it's like kind of, but like that's kind of, well, it still fits into the plot.
It's fluff, but it still adds itself to it. Yeah.
So this movie was the complete opposite. Like if that's an example of doing a lot of characters and plot lines pretty well, this is
the complete opposite.
Opposite.
Yeah, this could have been what Infinity War might have been.
Yeah, in the hands of someone who doesn't know how to write a script, which unfortunately is Rowling, because Rowling is not only is she not a screenwriter, she didn't work with a screenwriter for either of these films. She's the sole credited writer on both of these movies.
That explains a lot.
It does. The director talked a bit about working with her. He was saying, wow, she's really quick. Like a lot of writers take 3 to 6 months to get back to you with updates. She gets back the next week with all these updates. It's great. I'm sure she's very dedicated. I'm sure she's very excited about what she's doing. But the structure of a screenplay, how you allot time to different parts of a story is very important because you're working in a very limited time frame compared to a book.
Yeah.
I don't want to say she didn't study anything about screenwriting because I don't know.
Yeah.
But it really feels like she didn't. It really feels like she doesn't understand how to write for the screen.
I think she's a good storyteller, not the best writer.
Yeah,
but
I will agree with that. I think that like the reason the Harry Potter books were interesting and fun were that she created a fun world that you wanted to be part of. That's the core element of writing a lot of books and getting people and a big fan base following you. They want to be part of that world. That's why Harry Potter books and the movies too were fun.
Right.
That is not present in either of these Fantastic Beasts movies.
No. Yeah, for the medium of the book, I think she does well, but for the screen is completely different. Like you can't just do that. You can't just be like, I fix toilets for a living. Now I'm gonna work on cars. You just don't do that.
They're very different.
And it's funny because a lot of people, I mean, even for me myself, I push for not think tanks for these films. I push for just kind of like the independent kind of vibe where it's like, I mean, for just J.K. Rowling to be on this as a writer, I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That they allowed someone.
Yeah, because they're writing what, $300 million or whatever they spent in this movie on just her. Like that's big. Like
they took a huge risk for that.
Which also reminds me of the prequels because you had everyone thinking, oh, George Lucas is a genius. We just have to do whatever he says. No one's going to question him or push back. I got the same vibe from this. Like there had to be people working on this movie who thought, this doesn't really work. What are we trying to tell here? But they're not. They must not have either brought it up to her or felt like they could, or I don't know. Like I really felt like
she's a juggernaut now.
Right. And I certainly respect what she's done in terms of making this franchise and all, but this is not the way to keep it going. Like I would really worry about the future of this franchise if they don't seriously correct after this movie. I think every decision this movie made was wrong in terms of which characters to bring back, which characters to include in the plot.
Yeah, which characters are interesting.
What to do with the characters.
Yeah, what to do. No, okay, that's the main thing. What to do with the characters, they didn't know what to do with them. They should just be doing what Star Wars is doing, which is like...
Wait, you're using Star Wars as a positive example?
Yes. I know. So in terms of Star Wars, like you should be doing what they're doing, which is like, okay, we're gonna have our Rogue One, we're gonna have our Darth Maul, we're gonna have our Han Solo. You don't just make a film where it's like, all right, we're gonna have Han Solo, but we're also gonna have this in it. We're also gonna have Obi-Wan. We're also gonna have, like they're trying to make an extended universe, but then why don't you just make an extended universe? Why don't you just have your movie with Newt Scamander and then have your separate series with Grindelwald?
Right. I agree with you there.
The way to fix this film is get rid of all your characters, beef up the ones that are actually there, that actually have a purpose to the main story, and then just make a story about that.
Right.
The fanboy in me, I liked when they went to Hogwarts. That's when like a little bit of joy was put back into my life.
If you felt good at that, you were tricked. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, shut up, all right? No, shut up.